Welcome back to One Non-Blonde. I'm your host, Kim, and I've got Andre this week. We're continuing on our sessions. How are you doing today, Andre?
I'm doing good. It is summer here. It is hot, which is good, but I am cool.
That's good because you know that you need to find ways to keep yourself cool during the summer heats because you know that the summer is a hot time of the year and you know how to prepare yourself and to
That's what
make
we have to
yourself
do.
uncomfortable.
Always prepare ourselves for things. Then
Yes.
it's simpler.
So what we're going to talk about today is preparing ourselves. So I'd like to know some great tips because I know our listeners love hearing about how we can prepare ourselves for these great changes. I know we've been talking about these great changes, but we have to prepare our mind to accept it, correct?
Yes, that is absolutely correct. And I think preparing ourselves and our mind, we have to look at our pattern and habits. One of the most human and common habits is denial. We've been trained over the years and years to appear on the outside fine. And we're always surprised why people are not mindful with us. How can they be if they see only the happy front? How can they be? If I'm just running around constantly, oh, I'm fine, I'm great, and I'm blessed. Well, we are blessed, but not 24/7. We have to do our own things. So I think the pretending and the denial of, yeah, there is something I could remove. It would move my life smoother. It would make me more at ease. And that has to do also with success. And when I talk about success, I don't talk about only business or career. I talk about personal success as well. And success has a few things we should consider. First of all, being more grateful, being more thankful, being more mindful. And that comes, these three things comes for us and reflects on others. There's nothing wrong with saying, well, I don't have a good week. There's some things I don't know where it comes from, but when I see a red car, a blue car, or when I see my old wine glass, some memories come up and I don't know why they don't feel good. Remember, we talked about cognitive.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh, I figure it out. You will, but maybe after a long, long, long time. It's almost like when you go shopping in a supermarket and you say, okay, I have a car, the front wheel blocks and squeals, and you push that car through the whole supermarket, there's 20 other cars who would work. And then it's the same with we figure it out somehow. We say with the car, we make it through the supermarket. Of course we make it. But squealing and pushing and pulling, there's a lot of effort to make it to the register to pay. And in life, the same thing. We're pushing and pulling. So we have to be aware that sometimes we have to reach out and say, can you help me with that or that? There is a point in our life where we decide if we want a better quality or not, and not cheerleader wise every day say, oh, I'm good, I'm good. Of course we're good, but we can get better. So the awareness of, can I get better? I have to take responsibility for that. And responsibility is also commitment. I am commitment. My commitment is to make my life better. What does it do for you? Your mind becomes more clear. because if you make your life better, we create the space, all the worries when they're out, all the complications when they're out. We create in our mind space to think more clear. It's mind decluttering. We are afraid of show and articulate emotions. Only one emotion lately, and really be honest, Kim, one emotion lately comes out very freely in a lot of people: anger.
Anger and aggression. Yeah, I agree.
I haven't seen that since the last 3 years, and rising aggression, attacking by verbally, and I mean, that is the only emotions it is shown right now. And you know why there is so much anger and aggression?
I think
Because it
this
is
is me.
out.
Yeah, I said my opinion is, of course, I would like to hear what you have to say, but I don't know. I think a lot of people feel trapped or like don't know what to do or how to handle their lives.
Yes, and they get angry about themselves and others.
Hmm.
And that is the only emotion, the outlet they have right now to show. And if they reset their mind and says, well, I'm angry because I'm sad. I don't know how to deal being sad because I don't really know why I'm sad. Well, I know why I'm sad, but not really know why I'm sad. Figure it out. I had 5 weeks ago, I had to do a double session because this person was really upset, really annoyed. And the sessions before it went well. And I said, we have to continue. We have to find it. We found out there was something coming cognitive from the past up. It triggered it. And the person went backwards. Stopped not only with progress, went backwards, not being able to figure it out in a short period of time. And thanks God we figured it out. And we found the source of poison and could remove it. But that's what happens with a lot of people. And if you're not fully aware of it, if you don't understand 100% a situation, if your mind is in uncertainty, that can make some people very aggressive and angry.
Do you think that that emotion of anger is a little bit more justifiable to somebody as opposed to sadness or fear or um, jealousy? They rather just take it as this anger, and then they can manifest it into something that's justifiable instead of, like you said, acknowledging what's inside them, like lashing out at something or somebody else.
Yes, you're absolutely right. It is an outlet. Anger is an outlet for so many things. We get angry because we don't know, and we don't want to admit that we don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
And and when we feel weak because we don't know, we get angry. And we think we defend ourselves when we get aggressive and pinpoint somebody else as the source of our anger. Okay. Like I said, when I drive here, certain roads are always blocked up and people honk their horn
Mm-hmm.
and flip you off like there is no tomorrow. It is not the moment. This anger was there before.
Of
The
course.
moment they honk the horn and flip you off, it's just a release. And I always say to people, you remember the old trains with the steam locomotive? And sometimes they let the steam off, otherwise the kettle would explode.
Yeah.
And that's how it is. They let the steam off, and the kettle sometimes explodes. But the real source of the anger was way before. Uh, like I developed a habit when I go to a supermarket or some public place and somebody pulls it in front of me, even I was waiting, I don't get angry anymore. I used to many years ago. I don't get angry anymore. I say, well, he must be in a hurry. And I smile and look for another parking. Because what does this anger do at the moment? It puts you on hold. So I must be honest with myself. And the honest to myself is, I don't feel like arguing right now. I just look for another place. I have a good day. Let him have this parking place. You know, and anger is also a destruction from the real source where we hurt. So again, we need awareness. We need to find the real source, not the source we think right now. If you get up in the morning and you make coffee and you tip your coffee pot over and you have to make coffee again, then your car doesn't start because your battery is. Then you go at work and your computer doesn't get up, blocks everything. So you're at 9 o'clock and 3 major things of the morning went wrong. And somebody comes, asks you something, and you bark at them. That is not because he asked you, it's because from all the things before. We have to be honest. Then we can take a lot of the heat out. And what does it do when we take the heat out? It makes us stay calm, which is good for us, for our health.
Yeah.
And we also don't start the denial and excuses for ourselves. And an excuse is always a little lie. Think about it. An excuse is always a little lie. Not every time. There's legit excuses. I had a flat tire. That is legit because it's not an excuse. I'm late because I had a flat tire. I'm not hungry because I ate too much cake in the afternoon already. Okay? So going by all of that, we have to develop not to lie to ourselves. I have a bad day. I had a bad day last week, and I don't know where it comes from. Well, I know where it comes from, and then we start. It comes from because the shower was cold. There was no hot water one day. There was this and there was that. Then we start looking for a source outside of ourselves, not within ourselves. And then comes the opposite. We talked in the beginning here before. The opposite. I've been angry all morning. My coffee, my car, my computer, and I go to work. They ask you, how you doing? Oh, I'm doing great today. What do? You lie to yourself. So why not being honest and relieve yourself in a different way? Well, I'm here to work. It's an okay day. It only can get better, period. It only can get better. You see how you bring positivity in? If you change your pattern and your point of view. And point of view, Kim, is a very important thing in our life. Now, I want to, you in front of your computer, you stand right in front, you see the picture like that, right? You take 2 steps to the left, the picture appears differently. The lighting appears to everything. You take 4 steps to the other side and look. So how we see things is always where we stand. So if things are not appearing to us as they could, we might have to change where we stand. And then we see it are better. Make sense?
Yes. I was thinking about when you're talking, I just wanted to share. So Monday, it's a Monday. So you know how Mondays are. And we talked about this before. Everybody's like, oh, it's Monday. I got to go to work. You know, and it's usually what people, their first thing is like they're dreading the week before they get started. And so, well, you've seen my dogs. So I have a Malinois, and then I have a lab.
Yeah.
Well, my Malinois, I don't have an alarm clock. I have never had an alarm clock. I'm very, my body just automatically knows when to get up. But I also have an assistant, which is my Malinois, who about 7 o'clock, between 7 and 7:15, she usually hits me on the head with her paw. Nothing hard, but just like hits me on the head, like, hey, it's time to get up. She sees a squirrel. And so I was sleeping, and she just happened to hit me with her claw right. I still have a scar. Right here under my eye, and she caught me.
Oh my
And
God.
so I had to start the morning by icing my eye because I was afraid because it was all swelled up. And then the other dog decides to go take a swim. And then I was like, the whole morning, it was like before 8 o'clock, I already had like 5 catastrophes going on, primarily by the dogs. And had to, I was upset, I'm not gonna lie, but I also had to I was thinking about what we talked about. It's like, I can make this into a bad day, or I can say, okay, I got her in the house. Thank God my eye is not, it had a little swelling, but it didn't blacken. It's not bruised. It's not, she didn't get me in the cornea, which she could have scratched that accidentally, and that would have been a big disaster. So I
Right.
thought of all the positives. And when I got to work, I kind of laughed about it because like they were like, I was like really late. And I was just like, hey, I puffed the eye, here I am, because it was like it's really swollen. But I think that's the key, is like I had to be honest that I was frustrated, and I was upset, but I also had to look at, it's not gonna justify me being angry with people. It's not gonna cause me to have the rest of my day being miserable, like you said, because the rest of the day was great. But it was just, we have to stop and think that one or two little incidences are not going to define our day or define our personality or define who we are or how we treat other people. And like you said, and being honest about, I was frustrated, but at the same time, I chose to acknowledge it and move on. And so again, those are advice that you've given to us, and I'm using in practicality. So I wanted to share that because it was practical advice that I used, and it worked. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, it is always really the side we look at and where we stand. I had a few people approaching me in messages and say, well, when we hear you talk, it looks like your life is always going great. And I say, I feel great about my life, but things happen to me too. It just depends how I react to it. It was last week. I got up early. I had a meeting. I turned the shower on. For some reason, no hot water. So what I did, I didn't say, oh, holy shit, no hot water. I jumped in there and, soaked myself up, and I started singing, I'm waking up, I'm waking up. And I had to laugh about myself because it was really cold water, and I soaked myself up, and I started becoming clean and rinsing the soap off, and started singing because I wanted to shower at least 5 minutes, but it was ice cold. I started singing and started laughing. So the other thing was, reality was, I really was awake after that shower.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Then I started drying myself up, and what this did, this cold water made the blood and cells active. So I started getting nice and warm after that cold shower. And I got dressed, I got in the car, and believe it or not, I felt good. And I was still smiling in the car because, I was singing out of my full thing to overcome the cold. I'm waking up, I'm waking up. So it depends how you see it and how you react to it.
Yeah.
There's, and the cold water was not the problem. I would have been the problem.
Of course.
I could have said, I'm not going to shower. I just go like I am. I wash my face and I go like I am. No,
And you would be
right?
horrible. You'd be miserable.
Yeah, I would not feel right.
Yeah.
I could have gone on the shower and says, stupid cold water, and I don't know what's going on here. Would the water get warm from that? No. So I decided to be silly, you know, and
Yeah.
it came spontaneous. It came spontaneous. And what I try to tell people is, it is how you look at things and how you deal with things. And like I said, there were solutions not to shower, to be mad when you shower. So there was no real problem. Two solutions, picking the right one. And instinct, by instinct, I picked the right one. It worked for me. Just make it silly, make it fun. So,
No, yeah, I
and
agree.
it was actually a good day because, as silly as it sounds, this cold shower, I was alert and waking. It was a great meeting, and the day continued great. Great shower, cold, yes, but great shower, great drive to the meeting, a great meeting, three good things already. They could have gone the other way. So I was honest to myself and saying, I don't like it, but let's make it fun. Let's make it fun. And I have to say one important thing is everything what doesn't go like we imagine it should go. We don't have to own the problem. We should own the solution. Take ownership of the solution, not of the problem. Because if you take ownership of the solution, there is no more problem. And that's what I really want to tell the people out there. If you have a difficulty with your wife right now, or with one of your kids, or with one of your colleagues at work, or with one of your clients, or whatever you have, solve it. How you solve it is if your mindset and point of view is right. You don't use accusations, anger, finger pointing at others. You just say, well, it's not my day. It's time I make it my day. Well, it's easier said than done. No, it's really easy done. And you gave me the example too. You said, okay, there was only that and not more, and this and that. And I give the little example with my shower. It is possible. It really has to do with our mindset. And that's why I like to help people with their energy where they are right now. I mean, we are not done with changes in that world and in our country. We're not done. And there will be more changes, and they can be positive if we make it work for us, or we can stay miserable not knowing what's going on. We never know what's going on. Being honest, be
Yeah.
honest. Uh, you have in Florida hurricanes.
Hmm.
You don't know when it will come. All of a sudden, one is there again, right? We have in California earthquakes. We don't know it. So we have a little earthquake shapes. So every part of the country has something, and building the awareness how we react to it, building the awareness how we prepare ourselves for any case. That will take a lot of frustration, plus of uncertainty out of us. And if people believe they can do everything themselves, I will only say one word. Only teamwork makes it dream work. Because two heads, three heads, four heads, think more, see more, hear more. And that is important. And that's why I always say to people, try me, talk to me, ask me questions, ask me questions. I will answer, and I will. And my first answer for today's podcast is become more aware of yourself and of your pattern. Become more aware when you use excuses. Become more aware when your only outlet is to point your finger at somebody. It was him, it was her. No, it's you. Okay, sometimes others are involved, but it's you. So live happier if you know how you can smooth everything out and make your mind, your thinking and attitude in tune. Not you have a good attitude, a bad mindset, that doesn't work. Bring it in tune. And then all we talked about it, all this anger, which is not healthy, physically not healthy either.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to tell you that 2 out of 40 heart attacks, 2 out of 40, it doesn't seem much, are done when people in rage and they're angry. Avoid that. You don't need it.
Well,
So,
I know you're
like,
Italian.
yeah, yeah, I don't know if you know this funny guy, Andre Cohen, but he
Yes,
always says, make it simple. Make it
I know.
simple. And it is simple. And we can make it simple. And we're speaking of that we can make it simple. Let's wrap it up for today because these are informations I think people should listen 2 or 3 times to that little podcast and think about it, how they feel. That's important, how we feel. Go into your subconscious of how you really feel about it, and then make your changes, adjust, and the changes, they will come up in the future. It will be a lot easier because we develop a positive pattern in changes. Make sense?
Oh, it makes a lot of sense. It does. I know. Speaking of which I real quick back to my dog story. The lab, she has a pattern which I now acknowledge. When she goes swimming, I can call her all day long. She's going to keep ignoring me. I've learned though, if I go back in the house, within 2 minutes, she's at my neighbor's door at the gate. So that's what I did the other day. I'm like, I can stand out here and scream and yell and call her name. She's going to ignore me. I walked in the house. I finished putting ice on my eye. I said, oh, yeah, she's probably there. I went around the corner. She was sitting at the gate waiting for me. Patterns. I now know her pattern, but I paid attention to her pattern. And I did not allow myself to react to what she did. I chose to acknowledge her pattern and move forward. So I know it's a dog, but it's the same concept. You've got to acknowledge your pattern as well as other people's patterns to be able to move forward and not waste your breath and, like you said, making problems that aren't really there. It makes life simpler. My
No, I
morning went
understand
simpler
completely
because of
what
that.
you're saying. Yeah. But what we should not underestimate, you talk about a dog, we talk about people. Both human beings as animals have an instinct. And this instinct can get weakened by pattern. So making an animal or a human being aware of pattern, positive and easier changes can happen.
That's great
And
advice.
I wish everybody to really think about it, make your life easier, make it simpler. And if you have questions, hey, just ask me. I answer.
Yes, you do.
And I wish everybody a wonderful day today and a wonderful rest of the week. Be blessed.
Thank you, Andre. Talk to you next week.